Womp. Okay. It's picking me up now. I haven't streamed in 2 months, I think. So I didn't remember what to do. I don't know why Bingle isn't moving. Let's figure that out. Bingle, why? What's ailing you? Nah. No? Why won't she move? Oh. How about now? No? Now? Move. Okay, cool. I put a blanket over my mic to help with any clipping. But let me know if I'm too, like, quiet. In which case I'll, bass boost the VOD later. Which might be funny, actually. I'm gonna move the mic slightly closer. I need to get one with, like, an arm. Because mine is just dependent on the wire. And it doesn't go very far. I actually want the music a little low because I don't want to get a strike. Oh, the mic overlay is on. There we go. I can put it up a little bit more. Because every single time I put music on, it's like, well, we found copyrighted crap in your music. I'm like, yeah, well, but what if I wanted to get a little funky? Okay. So I have everything on a Google Doc. I put it together, like, way back. I know I said that, like, I wanted a Q&A so that I could answer and talk without needing, like, a script. But unfortunately, I still cannot be trusted without, you know, anything. So I made notes way back on, you know, kind of how I would respond. And a little bit of a summary of my thoughts. So I'm going to go through the list. It's like 13 pages. When I recorded it, the recording was like 45 minutes. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't edit this. So that's why I opted to do a live stream. So anyway, I'm going to stop yapping. Let's get rid of those tabs. And answer questions. Also, I think there was 1 or 2 questions that popped in like way after I did this doc, so I'll try and find them and then talk about them. Okay, where's my... Okay. The first question I got was asking me if I preferred rice or pasta. And the answer is that this is a very hard question, but I ultimately pick pasta because it comes in a variety of forms. But there is an honorable mention to rice for kind of being more adaptable as a side dish, or maybe not a side dish, but like more acceptable, I want to say, as a side dish. Like, I feel like there's overall more things that I would eat with rice as a side rather than pasta. Pasta's like a main dish, so usually the debate is rice or bread. I'm not sure why it was pasta this time. Also, my voice is different because I got sick like 2 weeks ago, and straight up, I still don't feel like my voice is the same since. So maybe this is just my voice forever. It's been like it's genuinely been like 2 weeks. So Knife7431 asked, what's your approach to character design? Your OCs look so cool and distinct from each other, they're really recognizable. Thank you, that was really sweet of you to say. Future Knife7431 who's watching this. So for me, I always come up with their personality first. That's just the kind of person and creator that I am. Some people can go the other way. They can do the design first and then, you know, come up with a personality. that's not for me. When it comes to creating OCs, I'm creating them for a story, for a purpose. So I need that fundamental base to be there first. So their personality or general trope / role in the story, relationship to others. For example, what's a character that we're making right now? For a current version of a story that's gone through 10 different versions that me and my partner are writing, now one of my main characters has like a rival because we wanted to have that foil in there in the story. So I know, like, starting out, okay, this character is meant to be a foil to a pre-existing character. They're going to be rivals. And then I can kind of get an idea of how I would want a character to bounce off my main character. And then it kind of goes from there. And then once I have that baseline, I can be like, well, now that I have these story and writing elements and like personality elements, I can think of symbols, motifs, how those personality elements and story elements connect with their design as a character, because you can't just have like a girl with like really long pigtails and it's very clean. Meanwhile, she's like actually disgusting and like lives in a pigsty, unless you make that a point of her character. So those elements need to work together. This information feeds how I design them, and then the design will imply more character as a result. So oftentimes when I'm designing a character, like 70% of the character is written, and then I design a little bit more, like I design based off that written portion. But then as I'm designing, I might come up with some new things that will then feed into the writing. So it's a bit of a cycle, but I do start with writing first. For me, I like to focus on what differentiates us as humans. So the types of noses, types of eyes, how their race and their ethnicity plays a part in their facial and body structure, because it makes a huge difference. And I feel like people don't take advantage of that enough. How they do their hair, what they would wear. I try to become really, really intimately familiar with them as a character, like they're my friend, like I know them. In a previous video, this is gonna date when I wrote this because it's over a month old. Picat mentioned that flashy characters aren't what sticks anymore, and I agree. To me, this is my opinion for the kind of stories that I like to write. Designs should always have context, and they should succeed beyond their flashy outfit. So if I take a character out of their flashy outfit, I should be able to recognize that character. I shouldn't have to like, anime girl, pink hair, white stripe in hair. Who's that? Oh, it's Birdie. But like if I take Birdie out of her outfit, I'm not gonna know. You know what I mean? Like if I drew a naked pic of Birdie, Birdie the Mighty, like, I mean, I guess she is the only like anime character that looks like she's like a literal Colgate hair, but you get my point. This advice only works because the characters that I create are intended to be like my friend, in quote, and like kind of dolls in my head. This is how I approach character design because this is what I prefer to use my characters for. If you're someone who's doing a webcomic, if you're someone making mascots or like VTuber designs, if you're trying to work in the animation industry, the advice is going to differ, but you will always have some sort of fundamentals. It just really depends on the context, the point. Genuine character designs will focus will shift depending on the project, like I said, i.e. a mascot platformer or an adult animated sitcom will have vastly different fundamentals for their character design. So it really depends on your intended use case. Do you have any advice for 3D and 2D artists at different levels? Example, zero experience to just starting out, beginner, intermediate, etc. So I broke this up into two separate groups and then subgroups between that. So I broke up 3D and 2D into groups, and then I subgrouped beginner, intermediate, and what did I say? Senior. That's right. This is kind of unrelated but also related. I've always thought that if I were to make a curriculum to teach people from the absolute beginning of like art, like I've thought about that quite a bit. I was actually thinking about it earlier today. But this question asked for advice, so I'm just going to throw out some random sentiments. Maybe one day I will talk about the curriculum that I want to do. If I can, which I probably won't. So for 2D artists, we'll start with them. So I'm lumping beginners into about 0 to 3 years of experience. Depending on how you use that time, you could, in quote, level up sooner. So, once again, this is very important to my lore. Please don't draw My Little Pony fan art or anything equivalent to that for 4 years straight if you want to go into art school and be professional like I did. I messed myself up pretty hard. Obviously, MLP G5 kind of sucks a little bit. We're not even going to talk about that. It's crap. So I don't think anyone's going to have this much of an issue anymore. I think I'm actually genuinely curious if other people had the same problem where I did, where they drew My Little Pony for too long. But anyway, it's kind of the same fundamental principle. It's like, if you want to be professional, obviously, you can do whatever you want if you don't. You can do whatever you want if you do, actually, but this is my advice. Don't draw the same thing and put yourself into a box for a long period of time if you do intend to go professional. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Anna. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to continue. Thank you. And again, if you want to be professional, the sooner that you begin understanding fundamental concepts like proportion, anatomy, form, shape, I would also include observation and general how you hold a pen, because that's also a huge fundamental that no one talks about, the better you're going to be. And the more you're going to set yourself up for success later on down the line. Because it's all like at the beginner stage, once again, I'm adding the caveat, if you want to be professional, it's all about building that fundamentals and cementing that, because the longer you go in your art journey and the less you worked on your fundamentals, the more you're going to be building that house. And you maybe just the more you skimp on your materials for your wonderful little house, the more it's just going to crumble later on. It's not going to all fall, obviously, in this world, in this hypothetical. The house is never going to crumble. Like, art skills don't die out. Like, they're not going to die. But you will have to spend time going back and fixing a nail or two, or maybe an entire floorboard, or like replacing all your windows, or like redoing your basement because you didn't do this thing, and it just takes more time later on. Like, if that hypothetical makes any sense. But to be completely honest, you can go back and fix anything. Like, it's what I did. It's not gonna kill you. It just might take more time, is the only thing. Like, you won't screw yourself. You just might take a little bit more time. And I do want to make that clear. Try to identify what you're drawn into. So when it comes to art, keep that in mind for specialization. The sooner that you can specialize, the better you're going to be. Again, you can take your time. It's just like, if I were to clone, okay, maybe not. I don't want to think about that debate. If I were to grow a clone of myself, and I was like, look, I'm gonna make you the best art god ever, follow this specific thing, maybe it would work. But everyone is gonna do their own thing. So if it takes you longer to figure out your style, totally fine. Build good habits now. It's the same thing with the foundation. And experiment and try a lot of things. I know maybe for some people that feels like it contradicts the what did I say? Kind of like, I didn't say pick your style, but people will interpret it that way. Usually you'll hear people say, pick your style, like immediately, like, get it down, like pick your specialization, pick your stylization, but also experiment. And you might think that that's like mutually exclusive. It's not. It's hard to explain, but for me, picking my in quote stylization or specialization was really just kind of boiling down what I liked to do. And that will always change. Right now I like to do different things than I did 5 years ago. And so experimenting is what feeds that. So it's important to cultivate the things that you like, but also move away from that occasionally and find new things that you might enjoy cultivating. And then coming back to what you were cultivating, maybe letting some things go, maybe bringing some new things in, if that makes any sense. Own the fact that it's not going to look good, and you will get better. When I was a kid, I hated that nothing looked good. And I thought, well, I guess I did believe that thing would get better later, but I just want everyone to know that, like, your rate of success will continue to rise the more you do things. And I see a lot of people, like, beating themselves up. And I think that that's just the arc that every artist goes through. But I just don't want anyone to needlessly suffer. You will get better. It is true. You'll always get better. Even if you don't think you're getting better, you are. So I want everyone to know that. Even if, like, straight up, even if you don't think you're getting better, you are. Really hammering the fact that you're gonna improve literally no matter what you do, even if it's been 10 years since you held a pencil. It might be a little rocky at first, but you were still, like, you've had 10 years of observation in that time. Just because you weren't drawing that time doesn't mean that you don't have more experiences or more things that you like to see. So yeah, it might be a little rocky at the start, but, like, you get a few warm-ups in, that'd be pretty good. It's impossible not to improve, like, straight up. For intermediate people, I said between the 4 to 10 year range. Again, this can change depending on your input. So for them, I would say if you want to be professional, this is really the time to begin specializing on what you're into. Like, this is when you really hammer in and you're like, I'm dedicating this to this practice. So, like, for me, that was, I think in my third semester, I was like, I'm specializing in 3D character art. Like, this is what I'm doing. Experimentation never ends, but this is generally where you begin getting really good at understanding your needs and your strengths, and you're going to play into them and foster them. You're still going to experiment. I'd say you might traverse, how can I say this that isn't full of words? When I was a beginner, I traversed very far away from home base for experimentation, as in I strayed pretty far from what I was doing to see new things and try new things. The more experience I get, the older I get, the more I know what I like, and the more that I've already conquered, the less I have to travel to experiment. Sometimes it's just a little bit. You'll still face a lot of doubt in your skills, as we all do, but just keep pushing. Around now is when I hit the wall where I wasn't doubting myself too much. So around this time is when you'll probably, at least for me, is when I hit the wall. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't, like, feel like that horrible about what I drew anymore. like it just, it became more relaxing to draw than not. Because it was stressful before for some reason. Yeah, at some point in this area, you'll probably hit the wall where art is no longer insanely difficult as it was before, or you don't hate it as much as you used to. I hit that point, I think, in year 8. I would have to go back in some Discord logs because I talked to my friends about it. It could be sooner. Again, if you didn't draw My Little Pony like I did for 4 years. I know I keep bringing it up, but yeah. For senior people, I put them at 10 plus years. If I factor my Little Pony time, I'd be a senior. If I don't, I'd be at the tail end of intermediate according to my in-quote standards. Or my arbitrary lines placed in the sand. So beyond this point, I don't think I have a whole lot of meaningful advice other than the fact that I just learned that F2 flips your canvas in Photoshop. I forgot, actually, after I wrote that, and now reading this back, I just re-remembered. And something else I can add is that you can hold spacebar to, like, have the move thing and move your brush around instead of using the navigation pane. So yeah, I've been doing this for like 12 years and I didn't know that, so you're welcome if you didn't, I guess. Point and laugh at me because I didn't know. At this point, everything that you're doing should be tailored to your needs specifically. You are your best friend, your boss, your HR. You got this on lock. You have locked in. You're probably more concerned with your freelancing or portfolio or business at this point if you did become and transition into being a professional. And if you're not a professional and you do art as a hobby, I just kind of trust everyone to know their needs at this point. Like, I don't think anyone needs me to tell them or give them any advice unless they're genuinely curious. But I would have no blanket advice, like, kind of for this range. For 2D. 3D is going to be a lot shorter because I think I'm graduating out of beginner. I don't know if I would say I'm a beginner just because of my freelancing experience, but I'll say within my range. 3D is really scary, but you are scarier. Make Blender afraid of you. Fuck Blender. Fuck Maya. Fuck 3ds Max. You are better than all of them, and you can conquer this program. They're a pain. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of understanding, and a lot of patience, and a lot of humility. Especially if you come into 3D as someone who was already experienced in another art form like 2D, like I was. It can be very humbling. Once you're kind of past year one, a lot of people, I'm finding, thanks to the accessibility of Blender, they're starting to assume how professional work is made in the industry. And I just want everyone to know that a hobbyist and professional 3D has an insanely large gap between it. So the hobbyist 3D stuff that I see on YouTube is nowhere near the type of things that my friends do at work. I just want people to know that just because you've learned how to use Blender, there's a lot still to learn about how professional 3D works if that's what you're interested in. It's harder to find information on professional 3D stuff though. That's why I kind of want to bridge that gap. Pick your area of focus as soon as you can. With 3D, this is a lot more important when it comes to professional 3D. You would want to pick your area of expertise after year one, as soon as you can, because that way you can tailor your portfolio to that. So before I was even done a full year of whatever I was doing at my program, I think I was like 7 months in, I had to pick. No, I think it was 6. What? No, really? It was... No, 3... Yeah, it was like 6 months. Yeah, after 6 months, they were like, you're either doing props, environments, or characters. And I was like, I'll do characters. But in that year, learn the program the best you can and experiment and do all sorts of things because you want to set yourself up to pick the best choice for yourself when it comes to picking your specialization. If you want to go into animation, it's different. I spoke on this in my 3D video. Animation and games make their lines a little bit different. Like in animation, you're either a modeler, surfacer, or like a rigger, and then a bunch of other roles. But with games, they split it between characters, environments, and props. So like if you're a prop artist, you're taking that prop start to finish. If you're a character artist, you're taking that character start to finish. If you're an environment artist, you're taking that environment start to finish. If you're a modeler in animation, you're just modeling. And then you hand it off to your surfacer to do the surfacing. And you would be doing multiple types of things. Sometimes you only have character modelers in animation. Sometimes you only have prop modelers in character animation. I'm going to take water so I slow myself down. Because I love water. For senior and intermediate, I cannot give any meaningful advice here. I have taken myself out of the industry because there's no jobs. I'm doing other stuff now, and I'm not at an intermediate or senior level yet. I don't know if I'm beginner level either, but anyway. Is it Bia or Bia? Bia Anime Art said, I wanted to ask if you have any advice on how to get motivated to do art regularly. I often want to do art, but I find it really difficult to do so because I never really know what I want to draw, so any tips would be appreciated. Looking forward to the video. I'm sorry it took a month to make, or more. So finding motivation to do art regularly was tough for me during times of high stress and like low happiness level times. But if I had a fixation, I would draw a lot. So when I was super into My Little Pony or when I was super into Zelda or Mega Man. I don't fixate like I used to anymore. That's something I guess that I don't do anymore now that I'm not a teenager. So it takes a lot more discipline to really get myself to draw during those like tougher times. The first thing I would recommend to do, and this is the most important thing I find, is to analyze the environment that you're in, where you live, what your conditions are. And you want to foster the type of environment that encourages you to draw, and by eliminating as many barriers as you can. Have a buddy, because if I didn't have my partner, I wouldn't draw nearly as often as I do. I might have picked up a fixation if I didn't have my partner, actually. But for me, I talk to my partner all the time. We throw OC ideas at each other. He hypes up my work. I hype up his work. He'll encourage me to draw. It's just like very helpful. Actually, I'm going to come back to the environment thing really fast because I don't feel like I talked enough about that. So for example, I'm living at my mom's right now. I have a desk and my tablet is always it doesn't hurt me to draw. It's very painless. A lot of people don't have a good setup and it actually physically hurts them to draw. Remove as many barriers as you can. Make it so that it doesn't hurt as much as you can. So for me, I have a Surface tablet on the ground, like on my table. I don't have a display tablet. It would cause undue stress on my literally everything. It would hurt my shoulders. I would probably go into a trap spasm. I have problems with my traps. I don't have enough space. So Surface tablet on the table. Pen is always readily available. It's in a pen holder, rotating pen holder. The tablet goes, I have a little stand for my monitor, and there's like a cutout, and I can just put it right in there. So first of all, like, it's really simple for me to get my tablet and to grab my pen. And I have enough space on my desk that I can just push my keyboard back and draw. And I use my keyboard for all my shortcuts. My desk is readily available. It's easier for me to access. Like, that sort of thing. If I keep my room clean, it's easier for me to draw. I just want to draw. If I have lots of music available, I'm going to want to draw. I'm going to want to hang out at my desk. If I have a bunch of cool art on Twitter that I retweeted or whatever, it's going to make me inspired to draw. Or, like, if I want to draw and I don't have any ideas, I can go on my Pinterest where I have a bunch of ideas. Like, stuff like that. Like make it so that it is so freaking easy for you to draw. Even if you don't draw all the time. Of course, it won't work all the time. I don't draw all the time. But it just increases your rate of success for when your brain pings oh, I could draw right now. And then your environment says, yes, you can draw. Here's some cool stuff on Twitter. Your tablet's right there. Your pen's right there. I got a cushion on your little butt on your chair that makes it so that it doesn't hurt so much. And here's a blankie, some water, and a snack, and some music. And then you're like, cool, I will draw, actually. Like, that's what you want. For me. Or, like, there's other stuff, too. Like, sometimes I just can't do anything until I shower. Or, like, have food. Like, just listen to your body, listen to your needs, listen to your environment. Increase your rate of success. Understand and foster what motivates you. So for me, I like seeing other people's art. Talked about this in the previous video. Not just 2D though. I really, really like looking at sculptures. I retweet so many sculptures. I love sculpture. I want to sculpt more. I was starting something. So I go on Pinterest and Twitter for all my art stuff. Sometimes Instagram. And understand your intentions and your voice. Like, why do you draw in the first place? And how can you use that, again, to increase your rate of success? Again, for me, it's like, I like seeing other people's art. It makes me want to draw. Maybe for someone else, it's like, I don't know, I really like this character and I like drawing them, and then you can have a giant poster of that character like in front of your desk or something like that. I draw because it's fun, and I really, really like drawing characters. I like the human form. This informs my work, and then therefore I talk with my partner about our OCs, and then I get inspired to draw them doing stuff, in bracket lately. Before I would just draw about a bunch of pinups because I like anatomy, I like sculpture, I like the puzzle of figuring things out. I still tend to do this sometimes, but I'm trying to draw more like actual interaction, expression stuff. So hopefully that was useful. Shirley Marin 6080 said, how do you decide what to focus on next to keep improving your art? Also, I really appreciate your art and you motivate me a lot. Thank you, heart. Thank you. You're very, very sweet. Thank you. So typically contextually, i.e. I identify a weak area and then I become cognizant of that weak area. So if I notice myself having a lot of trouble drawing a hand, I'm going to be like, ooh, either this is an off day or like I'm feeling really overwhelmed and I really need to brush up on how I draw hands. Like there's something that I'm missing. I've leveled up and I need to go back and fix that missing piece. I need to go do a study or two. Sometimes I can improve while drawing regularly. without the need for studying specifically. But this is like, it's a little bit more casual and doesn't always happen. Sometimes I do have to go back and like target some stuff. If you're very serious about your work, then you should study the weak area where you can. Once you become aware of it, you can just target a study that will address that problem. For me, weak areas become apparent in mindless doodles when I'm relying on my visual library only. So a few weeks back, I did a study on how the gravitational weight of legs and feet hit the ground and like are placed in volume of the environment. Like how you plant feet onto the ground and make it look like 3D, because too often like it just looked like 2D, you know what I mean? Like I would try to have a foot like back into space, but I couldn't like fathom it and I couldn't get it. So I did studies based on that, and that was something that I identified as a problem, and I was like, I need to study this. And it was actually something that I never studied before. And it was very fun. And in doing so, I actually realized that I needed to do more studies on the torso. So I did that. So for me, I made a Notion board to track my identified weak areas and whether or not I'm working on them. I can pull up my Notion here. Is it in here? This is my improvement board. So I haven't updated this in a little bit, but like here I identified facial structure as a weak point, and then I also identified melting eye syndrome, which is essentially when like eyes like aren't on the same plane as each other, like one is lower or higher than the other. I've been struggling with that for like 10 years. And then something that I was studying at the time was posing legs onto the ground, and then the hip, stomach, legs area, like the lower torso. And then you can like add more groups here, but I just made like a little database. Stuff always has to get brushed up on over time. You don't typically lose a skill, you might just forget a few things, or you might in quote like level up in your brain and notice, hey, I actually like didn't have this Lego block in my wall like for the past 5 years. I didn't realize it was missing, and I see that it's missing, and putting that piece in is going to finish my wall or like get me closer to the finished result. That happens to me a lot. So like I got away with a lot of things because I didn't understand that I was missing that piece. And then when I become aware of it, I go and I fill it in. Learning art is kind of like a funnel. Like when you're a beginner, like there's so much to learn, and then as you kind of get better and better, you're kind of, how do I like, I guess funneling works. You're kind of funneling the like information that you're working on or like learning or doing or applying. It just gets more and more specific to you specifically. Toast 011 said, hi, do you have any major artists or style inspirations? Like any artists or shows / games that influenced your style? Have a good day / night. Thank you. So it is a little weird if I don't have any that come to mind immediately. Like if someone asks me, who's your biggest inspiration? Like if I look at my work, I feel like my inspirations are kind of detached from my work a little bit. Maybe that's just me, so I tend not to think about it. I like a lot of things, but when I developed my style over time, it was very, very passive. I didn't go and like target a style study and was like, I want this element, and this and this. Like, and I didn't I didn't do that. I didn't mash things together specifically or with intention. Things just kind of shaped over time. But I would say that I think one of my largest 2D influences is stylized sculpture. I love sculpture. I love realistic. I love stylized sculpture. I love everything about sculpture. There's something about sculpture that I love, and I need to sculpt more. I was gonna sculpt later today, actually, I think. I don't know. But I do genuinely have inspirations. It's just like what I said, I don't have any cognizant ones. But if I were to like talk about inspirations that I have now that I'm thinking about it, right now I would say one of my biggest art idols is Ente Ryu because of her sculptures and her 2D work. I saw that she has an art book up, and I need to pre-order it so bad. Apparently they ship international, amazon.co.jp, so I'm gonna try to nab one. And I've been wanting to get one of her kits from Booth, but it's just like a kind of a big cost right now that I can get soon, just not right now. I have a bunch of artists that I really like, but none of them I particularly look up to really in terms of like shaping my work personally or specifically. Out like Ante Ryu is the only person who comes to mind like that I like genuinely look up to like a lot. But there are like a few artists like there's like a handful that where it's like, oh, I really like what they do with like this or like this. I don't know them off by name though. I've kind of been studying Camophiles. Is it Camophily? I've been studying their like expressions and like shape language lately, but Ante Ryu is like definitely one of the largest. Pengu Sketch said, could you describe and talk about your art education journey, self-taught, formal education, etc.? And I would love to hear you talk more about how you did dedicated studies in uni. Sure. So when, like, I started drawing seriously when I was 12. This is like the 5th mention of it. I made My Little Pony's fan art straight until I was 16 or so 4 years. When I went to art school, I took any art classes that we had available. Some of them didn't actually like exist because of less people, but I did take like a general arts course throughout the entire like 4 years. Initially, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an animator, like a storyboard artist. I genuinely didn't know any other job that I could draw in. Very naive of me. And I knew I had kind of fucked myself by only drawing MLP stuff for 4 years. So when I was done in high school, I went and did a art fundamentals program because I wasn't confident in my work yet, and I knew that I wasn't ready. But during that time, I realized that animation wasn't for me at all. And I wanted to go into Sheridan's Bachelor of Illustration, but I was unmedicated for ADHD at the time, and I made a portfolio in 16 days, like, of the deadline, and I got waitlisted. I took the year off and I worked because obviously I didn't have any school to go to. I was waitlisted and I never got off the waitlist. So I waited a year and I made a better portfolio over the span of a few months, I think about 4 or 5, and I got full on rejected. I got a worse score than before. Don't ask me how it's possible. I hate Sheridan. Not because they didn't let me in, but there's a bunch of reasons why I don't like Sheridan. But through my sadness, because holy shit was I devastated. I realized that I didn't even actually want to do illustration anyway, and in bracket I wrote cope, which is true. But I wanted to do 3D for games. So I went back to college to top up my art fundamentals program for a year, so I did like a general arts course. It was definitely more intense than my art fundies. My art fundies was way too simple. Like disgustingly simple. Like, it's not really worth anybody's time, but the continuation of that, the second year of like a general arts, was very good. Great professors. I did a lot of really targeted work. I loved the anatomy that we did, now that I think about it. Like, and they got me really good at doing pen and ink stuff. But anyway, so I went back to that for a year to turn it into a diploma, so that I technically had 2 years of college, so that I had access to post-grad programs. Because there were some post-grad like 3D things that I wanted to go for. So at this point in the story, I did 2 years so far of college for general arts. And then I got into a 3D game art program that lasted about 2 years, and I graduated with honors, and then I never, like, 1, I never went back to college since, 2, I never planned to. So I have technically 4 years cumulative of school, so I guess in a way I have a bit of a bachelor. Bachelor being me. I have two diplomas. People ask me if it's worth it. I'm Canadian, so yes, because of the government grants and general tuition being less insane than America, it was worth it for me. I couldn't know what I couldn't know at the time. So even if I could have gotten away with college, I didn't think so at the time. And I genuinely couldn't have expected myself to know either. And that's kind of what gets people, is professionals will say, you don't need college. Like you can just teach yourself. But we don't know what we don't know. If like in year 8, if I don't know that I can get away with college, even if year 12 me is saying you don't need it, that's a very tough decision to make when you're that young. So, and like you have that time to go to college. So, like I don't want to say the more you put it off, the harder it is, because actually it says sometimes true, but like that's why a lot of people decide to go to college, is because again, you don't know what you don't know, and it is kind of hard to trust people who say you don't need college. Just as much as it is hard to trust colleges to do what they want to do and what they say that they'll do, but that's a different story. If you're American, I guess I would put more thought into not going to college just because of the pricing, because, oh god. But for me, again, tuition is lower. I'm not international, I'm domestic, and I was able to get grants and loans that were more fair. So it was worth it for me in the end. It's a very tough decision to make otherwise. So anyway, more information on my daily drawing in college. So it was an assignment given to us in my second semester, and we had to draw for 10 to 15 minutes a day, every single day, including weekends, Saturday and Sunday. And then each day was laid out into one single submission, and then it was kind of amalgamated into a collage for the weekly submission. So we only submitted once a week, but it was everything that we did during that week. We had to say what we did like and what we wanted to improve, or like that we didn't like, and we couldn't just draw fan art the entire time. Like, there had to be some genuine good faith effort to use the opportunity to better ourselves. So like, if I just drew nothing but like, I don't know, I'm looking at my Ralsei plush, let's just say if I drew nothing but Ralsei, like the entire thing, like after even one full week of like my submission just being full of Ralsei, my professor would be like, hey, this is like, you need to genuinely put some effort in. Like, you can't just only draw the one thing. So this assignment lasted the entire second semester, and then it returned again in my third. And in the second semester, when I first got the assignment, I broke each day down. So one day was a style study, one was a muscular study, one was studying character design, one was for posing, one for faces, one was a free day. I've answered this question like I think 3 or 4 times on like what my actual like weekly schedule was like. So if for any reason it's like slightly inconsistent, it's because I genuinely don't remember. But that's generally kind of what it was. And sometimes I did swap things out if I felt like it, and I worked with what my needs were at the time. So in my third semester, I drew whatever I wanted, but I was still using the sessions to tackle certain things like character design. It was just less structured because I was really, really busy with my other classes, and like my stuff like really ramped up in third semester. And also my professor gave us feedback on our weekly submissions. Hi. Hold on, let me read your username properly. Hi, Zinz and Zed. Farah Eno said, how old were you when you got into 3D art? And if you remember exactly the moment you got interested in learning it, or a specific media that kickstarted your interest. So this is a really good question because I genuinely do know this very explicitly. I decided that I wanted to learn 3D at the end of my first year of college when I was doing art fundies. I had just finished replaying Gravity Rush 2, and I was so enamored with the assets, the shaders, the character models, the environments, that I realized that I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to make a game that was as beautiful as Gravity Rush 2. And I figured that I could do this via the illustration program somehow, because they tied like 3D into it. I remember like seeing like a student showcase, and some of them had some 3D stuff, and I was like, oh, I could, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone, have my cake, eat it too. You know what I mean? And also because I was a little bit afraid of like going full 3D, like just like thrown to the wolves like into 3D. Like it wasn't enough to really pivot me out of illustration that I was gunning for at the time and go into a 3D only program. So in the end, I needed to be rejected to realize, okay, like none of this is working for me. I do have to go into 3D. So after I got rejected the second time that I applied to the illustration program, I thought back to that realization that I had when I was 18. So when I had that realization, I kept gunning for illustration, thinking I could do kind of 3D on the side and like work like in 2D and 3D. Like it's just like naive shit like that when you're like 19. And it wasn't until after I got rejected a second time that I went back to that realization, and I was like, I just need to like fully go into 3D. Like this is my time to just do it. Comprise said no question but love from the UK. Thank you, I love you. from Canada. Cosmic Eternity said, when and why did you start drawing? Also, who are your favorite Splatoon characters? Love your content. Thank you. So for me, I started drawing as all kids do, but I knew it wasn't something that I was like really insanely passionate about. Nor did I have any ideas of my own. Like, I literally just redrew and traced stuff. When I was like 12 or 11 or so, I discovered My Little Pony Friendship is Magic when we finally got internet, because I didn't have internet for a very, very long time as a kid. Q being rural. I discovered DeviantArt, and I saw all the fan art that everyone was making on the show, and it was way better than all the Sly Cooper fan art that I saw back during the time of my limited internet usage, and I was like, holy shit, like, this is so cool. And in that, I realized that anyone can draw well, including myself, and that I could be like them. And then this is when I started taking drawing seriously. So I drew nothing but My Little Pony fan art for 4 years, and after that I was like, alright, I gotta lock in now. So I started pursuing other things. As for my favorite Splatoon characters, definitely Fry and Agent 3 Captain are my two favorites out of literally everybody ever. I also really like Callie a lot and Agent 8. I like all the characters. I like Marina, I like Pearl. Shiver can blow up, and yeah. Pancakes985 says, how do you get in the mindset to draw freely? So I kind of already answered this question with Bia's question. But essentially, I foster the environment that encourages me to draw. So like, I like my desk, it's comfy, my tablet's set up. And for me, personally, the mechanical act of drawing in itself is fun. So I like mindlessly drawing bodies, and I like how they conform to poses, so I just doodle that. For some people, this is headshots or hands or objects, but for me, I like bodies. Joe Schmo 5435 said, tweak the question should you need to, but what is your direction for art right now? As an example, I'm trying to get comfortable making rough, loose line art with a brush pen in an effort to push the human behind the art. That feels important to me moving forward in this AI age. That I'm really into, actually. That's really cool. I'm glad that you're doing that. And it's a really good question. So right now, for the past like kind of few years, I've been focused solely on trying to make my fundamentals very, very strong. Like, I want to be really, really good at like the mechanical drawing aspect, like flow, shapes, anatomy, lines. I think I want to be very masterful about that. This is to me, I like that because it's less stakes and less pressure than doing paintings like I used to. But at some point I will reach the point where I'll go back to making, render compositions or paintings, but for now I'm kind of powering up in the corner and I'm just drawing a lot. Not only that, but it's easier for me to do more in bulk, so I feel like I'm getting more hours and more, let's say, opportunities to draw different things. Oh my god, it's been an hour. This is great for me. I'm only halfway through. Anyway. Yeah, it's more fun this way and I get to draw more things overall. I'm gonna try to speed this up. Harmony said, what are your favorite traditional art supplies to use if you do draw traditionally? I love your art and it's been great to see your channel grow. Thank you! I used to draw traditionally a lot. Like a lot. I loved my Copics, I used the Chows, and over time I accrued like a shit ton of them. I really also like colored pencil. I use them a lot in my second year of college specifically. Pencil crayon and brown craft paper is my favorite way to do life and gesture drawing. I don't know why, it's really good. Me and my partner like to draw with crayons on a big drawing pad together. It's like just kind of a vibe. He calls it playing crayons. It's very fun. And I used to use a lot of watercolor in high school because I had like that small like little like pocket like travel thing of like Winsor & Newton watercolors, and I bought another one like that was for koi, and it came with that like watercolor pen that kind of went viral like 8 years ago, and it basically just has like a well of like water inside it, and it's like kind of plasticky, so you could like squish it and then the water would come through the tip of the pen. And I would just use my water bottle to fill it, or I would go to the water fountain, and I was able to do like a shit ton of watercolor stuff like all the time. So I would just doodle in pencil and then I would color it. Pen is really fun too, but I'm kind of a baby and I'm afraid of making bad drawings. I genuinely need to draw in pen more. I'm just like, I'm lazy really bad. And I genuinely prefer the just the look and the feel of pencil a little bit more overall. So when I do try traditionally, I will lean towards pencil. I also really like acrylic paints. I painted a lot of acrylic in high school and college, and I did a bit of oils and I liked it. Did I use genuine oils? I think I only used water-based oils just because I didn't have good ventilation, so I did enjoy oils. And actually when I was in high school and early college, one of my biggest inspirations at the time was just general alla prima oil paintings, especially those done by Malcolm. I love his work even still to this day. It's not as big of an inspiration as it is now, though I do like to sculpt similarly to that, if that makes any sense. When I did work in oil pastels, I really like working with them, and I also really like drawing on printed color paper with pencil or a pencil crayon. You can get it, I think they're called Astro Brights. I get them at Walmart. It's like, it used to be $8 for a bunch of differently colored sheets of paper. Some of them were like CMYK colors, some of them were like RGB, some of them were like pastels, some of them were jewel toned. They have a few options. Hopefully it's not too expensive now. Even still, with what you're paying, it was kind of a good deal. I don't know if it's still a good deal though. Aka9815 says, sorry this has been asked, but what kind of studies do you do and how much do you draw each day? So this has varied a lot over the years, and currently I'm at a very good place in life, and that's reflected in the drawings that I output. So I draw in the evenings after work where I can, because I look forward to it, and like I just generally like improving. It's just fun for me. It's harder for me to draw on weekends because I'm usually busy, like that's when I go and hang out with friends or like go to events. But if I do end up drawing on the weekend, it is typically in the evening. Like I drew quite a bit last night after I hung out with my friends all day. Evening time is definitely my most productive drawing time. But in college I would draw in the morning and then play video games in the evening. It really depends on my schedule. I would draw in the morning in college, like as my free time, and that was when I did my daily drawings, and then I would do my actual college work, and then when all that was done, then I would get to play video games. I don't get to play video games that much anymore. It kind of sucks. The most video games I play is Cookie Run now. Everyone add me. And drawing regularly kind of, like I said, replaced my video game time in the evening, which I'm not overly upset about. There's a lot of old games I would want to play, but all of the games coming out right now kind of make me really mad and angry, so yeah. Next big purchase will probably be whenever they remake Code Veronica, because that would be great. Hi Oreo. Hi. Matuli2633 said, do you put ketchup on pizza? Also, what do you think about having big/long projects in order to keep drawing consistently? I often end up facing roadblocks when focusing on bigger projects, and I lose motivation over time. But without these projects, I also feel lost in my art journey, if that makes any sense. I guess this comes from a pressure to produce good pictures, but maybe you feel like you have a different opinion or insight as a more experienced artist. So these as in projects, can be very beneficial if you can maintain the interest in the project. I also agree that not having a project on the go makes me feel aimless, but over time I stopped feeling this way after I kind of gave up trying to break into the entertainment 3D industry, because every day I would just feel pressured if I wasn't working on something. Like, oh, I could be working on my portfolio right now. Oh, I could be making myself more hireable. And that was very draining and horrible. If not having a project on the go made me feel aimless, then it was probably because I wasn't getting enough enrichment in other areas of life, or was also being stressed with expectations. So when it comes to enrichment, I wrote career, friends, partner, family, other hobbies. If I wasn't feeling, how else do I say other than enrichment? If I wasn't drawing happiness from other areas of my life, and I was betting on my success coming from my projects, then that made me feel very aimless without one, and it made me very stressed out without one. And that's why I ended up just crutching on projects too hard. So it is important to have other interests, other ways that you feel okay, this is why I'm on earth. I hung out yesterday with my friends and I bought a bunch of makeup on sale, and that made me really happy. Even if I didn't draw yesterday, I still would have been really happy with my day. But if I did that a year ago, I would have felt horrible. I would have gone to bed. I would have been like, I'm a freaking waste. I did all that shit and I didn't do any art. Now I don't have anything for my portfolio. Now I'm like wasting my time. Like, so you just gotta be really, really cognizant of the kind of environment that you're building for yourself. When I got a car and a good job and I moved to a better home, I no longer feel aimless without projects. There's a lot more context to that, but that is a little bit of a simple version. I do sometimes still feel a little empty, but only because creating is fun for me, and it's not a negative feeling that aimlessness was for me. It's more so just like longing. Like longing and aimlessness are two very different things. Right now, I don't really have any projects on the go. I prefer the instant dopamine that I get from like the smaller chunk stuff. So like I have to do a bunch of doodles in the evening, or like I come back and I color some, or like I do a small little painting. Like that is a better use of my personal time. Longer projects, I just tend to get burned out on now that I'm really busy. Again, it really depends on what you have going on. I used to have 3D characters on the go last year, and it was fun, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just did, like, some posed ones. When I wrote this, I didn't have anything on the go, but I actually do now. I lied. I was working on a Marcel sculpt from Dungeon Meshy, and I spent a lot of time on the base mesh because I was gonna use it for my base meshes in all my sculptures going forward for the next little bit, so that I can just make more things. Something smashed. I'd like to have something on the go that I always have something to lean back onto if I'm ever feeling uninspired, but to be honest, this doesn't usually happen. Usually I'll just draw a new thing. I don't rely on it. To be honest, I would just say I don't really ever do this. It's something that would be nice, but it just doesn't work for me. Shoko Nakamiri 7742 said, how did you come up with your OC? Or how do you manage character creation in general? It looks extremely unique and interesting, so I wonder what's the story behind it. Real quick, I didn't answer the ketchup thing. I don't put ketchup on pizza. I put like feta, spinach, tomatoes, green pepper, what else? Stuff. I like Mediterranean. Okay, sorry, getting back to Shoko's question. So I'm not sure which OC you're referring to, but I think you're talking about Bingle, my little channel mascot. Initially, I was going to design Yukagaka as my mascot / like YouTube in quote doll, like the guy who stands in the right corner of the screen and talks and changes expressions. Like I was going to have something like that because it would match my Windows 98 whole deal going on. I genuinely cannot possibly explain it, but suddenly while I was about getting ready to draw some concepts for a Yukagaka, yeah. I suddenly was like, what if I drew a cowgirl bunny and she was really busty and she was really muscular and she was really cute, and again, I don't understand. That was just what my brain wanted to do, and so I was like, okay. I really like the cowgirl costume in Haunting Ground, and I kind of stole it a little bit. It's really cute. So I just drew a sexy bunny cowgirl lady for fun in the pose that you're actually seeing on the right of the screen now. But I ended up liking her so much that I was like, fuck it, and I went with it. Initially, I was using her as a temp PNG tuber for streams, because I was doing streams first before other YouTube content. And then when it came time to do other YouTube content, I was dead ass too lazy to make a new guy, and liked Bingle, and a lot of people liked her. So I was like, let's just use her. And it works out because everyone seems to like her, and it makes me really happy. Earlier, I answered my character creation process earlier, but Bingle is a very special example because I designed her as a mascot. So like I was saying, with context and like design, when I'm working on a mascot, I just make a design. I don't think about the personality. And that's fine. Mascots are just like that. Mossy Droid said, do you have a favorite color palette, are there any colors you tend to gravitate to while drawing? So yes, I definitely do. It's not noticeable quite as much right now because I don't have a whole lot of colored works up. But I really, really fucking love blue or green tinted highlights. So like anything that would normally be white in an image, I tint them blue or green. I also really like when my darkest shade is green or red as well. So if I take anything that's supposed to be black, I would like tint it red or green. It depends on what my highlight color is going to be for whether or not I'm tinting it green or red. Usually I go with a red darkest shade and then a blue tint sometimes, or a green tint, really depends. I do like green a lot, but I don't know if that shows on my color palettes. It probably does, maybe. But I would say that my favorite colors are blue, pink, and green. As for like color palettes in general, I don't have any that I like reference. I just do everything on the fly, and I go with how I'm feeling and what I kind of want for the specific piece. And also what my gradient maps give me, because sometimes they'll give me some very fun surprises. Did I answer this question? I did. Why is it in here twice? Okay. Anyway, I guess I'll just talk about what I answered the second time. So I haven't studied since spring 2022 at the time of writing this. I have since. Yeah, I'm getting back into it. I started a study that past weekend. And then I listed some studies that I did in college. So I did anatomical tracing / redraws, face structure studies, ethnic feature studies, posing studies, starting from a silhouette or from outline, and then breaking them down into guidelines / building blocks. There's tons of ways to do this. Clothing studies, especially shoes, hand and feet studies, perspective studies, subject environment relationship studies. And when I say that, I'm talking about like how a subject is placed in the environment and the relationship between those two things. Character design studies, pretty much all of these I came up with for my daily drawings. And every day, because I was doing those daily drawings, I started each day thinking, what's a cool thing that I could learn? And it didn't take long to, one, think of these things, and two, accomplish the studies. They were 10 to 30 minutes. It was very, very doable. Going forward, I'll be doing a ton of studies. At the time, I was saying I was in my training arc. I was supposed to be training, and then I forgot. So, yeah, I'm just vibing right now. I did end up posting them with some written commentary when I do them, and you're all free to steal my study ideas and do your own. The one I did over the weekend, this is the one that I'm referring to. It was the gravitational weight of like legs on the ground, like posing that volume, and then the torso. I also needed to study the lower torso, so I studied that as well. And then I was also having major issues around there before, and it's been a weak point for a long time. And then doing that one study made me be like, okay, this is like bad. I gotta work on that. And then apparently I have a ton of other stuff to study, which I do, and I talked about it earlier. Churu says, how do you overcome procrastination or deal with art block? And also, what's your go-to thing to draw? So these are slightly separate questions, so I'm going to deal with them separately. So I'll start with procrastination, and I would say it really, really depends on like if you're drawing for fun and like if you're just like someone who draws for fun, and you just procrastinate doing the thing that you enjoy doing. That's a different thing. Versus if you're in school where like you have to draw and you're procrastinating on like your homework or like a portfolio or like something like that. Like these are two kind of different things. For me, I have unmedicated ADHD, and I got really good at dealing with it without medication. So what I like to do is I visualize my time in blocks. They're very flexible blocks. Like in my brain, I could stretch them out, make them longer, make them shorter, depending on the time allowance. So like a small block would be 30 minutes, large block is like an hour. You know what I mean? It just helps me out because I can visualize my schedule like a bunch of boxes that are stacked on top of each other. And this helps me kind of plan out and like gauge my day. So when I was in college, my schedule was like I would wake up, I would play Cookie Run in my bed for a while because I'm insane and messed up. I would do myself in the bathroom, I would eat my breakfast, I would make tea if I felt a little special, I needed some caffeine. And then the first thing I would do when I got on the computer, the second first thing I would do when I got on my computer was draw, because the first thing is always to put music on. So I would draw and I would do my daily drawing. And making things a habit so that my body and brain was used to it was the most important thing. And that way my brain didn't have to work overtime when I asked it to do something. So when I responded to Baya's question way at the start, I mentioned that when I propose an idea to my brain, I know my brain's going to kick up a fight. It will. But I can increase my rate of success with my brain accepting what I want to do by fostering an environment and habits that it will be more likely to accept. So I knew that I had to do my daily drawings, and if my brain didn't want to do them in the morning, I would make myself do it at night. And then if I didn't do that, the guilt would kick in, and I would do it anyway. That's just me. But by doing all my bathroom stuff, like I was clean, I had food, I had caffeine, I had music. When I told my brain, hey girl, it's time to do the daily drawing, and then you can do other homework later, my brain was like, all right, whatever. I've done it for the past 2 weeks. Like, I don't give a shit. And then I did it. So that was my way. Also having someone hold you accountable also helps. Like, I use my partner for that. You know, I make him guilt trip me. Not really, but like, not genuinely guilt trip me, but you know. And then the second one, art block. This one is tough because everybody has their own definition of art block, and I have my own. I don't think we all shared a unified definition. It's a little bit, how do I say this, like shattered. Some people say it's art block when they have no ideas, but then some people say it's art block when nothing that they draw looks good, and these are two different things. The ideal solution for either of these is vastly different. So the first thing I would do is to identify specifically what is happening to you rather than using a very broad term such as art block. So if you're under the camp of like, I have art block, and I would say, why? Like, what is blocked? Like, is it your ideas? Is it like you can't draw anything good? Like, is there like something else stopping you from drawing? Like, what is it that's causing that in quote blockage? That way you can understand more about what you need and be able to find accurate resources to mend that issue. So by narrowing down the issue, it may help you be able to figure out solutions on your own as well. So if like you were like, oh, I'm art blocked, and then I said why, and then you said, well, nothing I'm drawing looks good. Or if you said that to yourself and you came to that conclusion, you might not even need to go online to look for resources. Once you identify the issues, your brain might propose solutions, and those solutions might end up being useful, or someone might propose them to you. So just by being cognizant of the issue, you're making a big difference, and you're setting yourself up for success to fix or like mend the issue, like make things easier for later. I thought I was on art block on the weekend, but it was literally just because like I really needed to study some stuff, and the weakness of that area was just like becoming a huge issue. Like sometimes it's like a little small crack where it's like, that leg looks a little weird, but like it's fine. But like sometimes like something is like so overdue that I need to study. It's like genuinely causing foundational error in my drawings, and I'm becoming like I'm getting like really pissed off. I'm frustrated. I'm like upset. I'm like, why is something I'm drawing looking good? I'm art blocked. You know what I mean? But like I wasn't actually art blocked. I just needed to go and study something. And then once I studied it was fine. So I was unhappy with everything I made, and it wasn't that my art was bad. I just needed to go take a break or like do a study. I just needed to sit my ass down and do a study, and it literally took like 45 minutes, and then it was fine. I said 2 hours, but that was because I studied something else while I was doing it. So, because in studying one thing, I realized that I needed to study another thing. And the improvement was insane. Like it was like by targeting that very hyper-specific area, I was able to kind of like siphon all the information that I needed and then do a very targeted study and then like wring whatever I wanted out and then directly apply it to my work. This is going to probably be unrealistic for people under my skill level because I've been drawing for so long. Things are a little bit faster for me, but I still do think that like very targeted studies and identifying weak spots will be faster than if you just kind of like fumbled around and like accidentally like passively fix the issue without realizing it. Like it will I almost guaranteed it will be faster. And it's not like it's going to be a week long for someone either, even if they're a complete beginner. If you're uninspired, I would say breaks really help. So while searching for new media or things in life that excite you, that can re-inspire me to draw more. If you're burnt out, I almost always take a break. I have a ton of other creative hobbies that I can indulge in. If like drawing isn't good enough for me, I could sculpt, I could do a model, I could code more. Maybe I'll learn how to make music because I thought about doing that too. And if you're feeling like you're bad at art, again, see if you can target a weak area, and maybe a friend can help. If you don't see that weak area yourself, maybe they can find that for you, and then you can study to improve that. For me, I'm stubborn, and so I study right away, but it actually might help to sleep on it too. Like, it might be useful to identify that weak area, go to bed, and then study the next day. And then answering the third part, my go-to thing to draw is bodies. Sometimes headshots, not usually. It's almost always Macy, which is my OC. Team Combo Maker 6802 said, on a general day, give or take, how much of it is spent on art studies versus drawing for fun? Also, do you have a husbando/waifu? So for the past 2 years, all my art has been 100% for fun. And at the time I was writing this, I was entering a training arc. That was when I was planning on doing a shit ton of studies. I only ended up doing 2 pretty good ones, and then I just kind of forgot to do more because my partner was visiting me. So at the time, I was thinking maybe it'll be about 60 to 40% for fun and for study, respectively. Maybe 70-30. For right now, specifically like this week, it's like 100% for fun. I'm just doing shit for fun. I do want to go back to studying a little bit. And in college, when I did my daily drawings, it was more like 50-50. Because even if like my daily drawing was supposed to take 10 minutes, sometimes I was so into my study that it took a little longer, or I did an additional study. And if you make studies fun, or you use your OCs or your favorite characters as reference, or like as like a stand-in, it makes things more fun, a lot more easier, and you're more likely to do it. And then the husbando says waifu question. So I haven't unironically used that term in eons, but I feel like it's even lamer that all my suggestions are Cookie Run characters. So my favorite guy is String Gummy. Don't even get me started on String Gummy. I drew so many Gajinkas. You can even look on my channel. I was doing a sculpture of him. I was gonna make him like a game character. I ended up scrapping it, but I still actually like the sculpt. It's pretty good. And then the 2023 winter update was really good because it added strawberry cream. Love strawberry cream. He's my little guy. He's my partner's favorite guy too. My partner likes String Gummy too, the same taste. And then the new update with Marble Bread was like really good. And I was super happy that he was in. So I like making Gajinkas a Cookie Run character. It's just fun. They have really good character design, so I do that. But to be honest, like, when it comes to, like, obsession, like, with, like, characters that, like, I'm way more obsessed with my partner's OC, Tut, than, like, any established media character. I draw Tut, like, more than any fictional guy ever. Or my other OCs. For waifus, I would say, at the time, like, I was down bad for fictional men more frequently, which is still true. Maria Rose, I like her design. She's really cute. I like Sonoko and Pokechow a lot. They're very adorable. And while I was writing that, I realized that if I were to pick a single waifu, it would probably be Felicia Darkstalkers. I fucking love Felicia. She's definitely my number one. I love drawing her. I like everything about her. She's cute. Hi, Sunny. Mossy Droid said, do you listen to anything in the background when making art? Like podcasts, TV shows, music, some secret fourth option. Almost always music. Every single time, music, all the time. Sometimes I'll call my partner while I'm drawing. This is more frequent now. I try to call him more often instead of texting. And then sometimes I listen to streamers. I like listening to Bread and Thelonious when they play Lethal Company a lot. And sometimes a video essay, less frequently now. I actually don't really watch video essays anymore. And sometimes ASMR when I'm drawing. I want to say more frequently than not. I'll listen to ASMR. Sometimes I only listen to one of these things, but oftentimes I'm listening to at least 2, sometimes 3. Like when I was in college, I was in Zoom class, and I was listening to music and ASMR and my professor. Sometimes I'll have a streamer on, music and ASMR while I'm drawing. Sometimes maybe actually I'm calling my boyfriend at the exact same time. That's 4 things. I'm messed up. Common one is boyfriend, ASMR, and music very often. Yeah, I did that in school. My brother asked when the gaming vids are coming out. I have a capture card. I'm just a lazy piece of shit, and streaming games isn't really my thing. feel like if I were to stream anything, it would be streaming my epic weekly breakouts on Cookie Run. Not astronaut said, hey, could you maybe talk a little bit about what inspired your art style and how you improved it to the point where you're happy with it? This is a hard one to answer because, like, I know everybody has a style, including myself, but I didn't go out of my way to craft it specifically. I talked about this a little earlier. During the pandemic days, I had a very shapely style that focused on, like, harsh lines, curved lines, like, very, like, shape-focused. Looking back, it feels very much like a 2018 Western animation inspired with 2000s animation lines, which was interesting to realize recently. I'm not even a huge animation fan. Like, I like it. It's just, like, it's not enough that I would think that my style would be so derivative or, like, a mix of those two animation eras without even intending, which is pretty interesting. Like, it's not even inspired. It just happened. Which is why I don't think my style right now is kind of specifically inspired by a whole lot. It just kind of also happened. And a lot of it is, so, like, I'm just being honest, when I wrote this was when I was, like, my soft, like, circular brush. This is what I'm referring to. Right now I'm in, like, my pixel pen era, but my soft brush is very much inspired by Japanese and Korean artists. They use that brush a lot. My anatomy is really inspired by sculpture. Like, I would say it's a mix of, I would definitely say, like, stylized sculptures, like, pretty much, like, my entire inspiration for anatomy. Proportions are kind of my taste, I think, like, whatever suits the design. Like, again, it's usually sculpture as a base, and then it depends on, like, what I'm doing. Like, I'll change proportions based on the character. Like, I don't specifically pick my proportions. I do think I tend to draw things by accident a certain way without meaning to. Like, I make hands, like, really stubby because I have very stubby and small hands. For faces, I don't actually have a specific inspiration. I literally just, like, I don't intend to make my faces look a specific way. I just kind of draw them, and, like, it just turns out how I like it. Like, I don't sorry, still kind of coffee. I'm taking water. I was so embarrassed that I coughed. Eyes, I kind of started doing the cloudy, like, fluffy eyelashes because of this art that I like. I can go find it. I'll probably link it in the description or something. They did, like, a thing where it was like, oh, here's all the eyes that I've drawn. You can see them. I don't like the rest of their art. Like, I only like how they draw eyes. Like, that was it. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't take anything else from the style again. I'm just, like, not a huge fan, but I did love the fluffy eyelashes. They were very cute. In terms of character design, I want to say it's all my taste. I'm sure there's inspiration somewhere. Again, it's just, like, I don't know it. Like, I don't, like, I can't tell you. Like, I wouldn't know. It's just my taste, I guess. But I can't, like, identify my taste. And then everything else kind of comes together, and it's a decision on, like, do I like this? Like, does it look good? And then right now my style is definitely getting a lot more refined because of my training arc, and then, like, I've just become a little bit more cognizant of what I'm doing. In terms of coloring and rendering, like, right now I'm really inspired by cell animation, but I haven't implemented it, and this is an inspiration that I've had for a very long time, and I just straight up have been too fucking lazy to do anything about it. But I do want to emulate, like 90s cell animation, like both Western and Eastern animation cells. If I want to do that more, I'm just lazy. Colors are all my own taste. I know that there's, like, inspirations people have, and there's inspiration that I have on, like, all things, but I actually straight up, like, could not tell you any specific color inspirations. I want to say maybe Gravity Rush 2 and, like, the Skyboxes and Spyro, mayhaps. I was also really inspired by traditional media because I paint a lot growing up in, like, watercolor, oil, and acrylic. So that definitely has some sort of roots in my art style. Again, I'm not enough that I could identify. I do think that my oil painting love definitely shows in my sculpture, I think, even if that doesn't make any sense. And again, a lot of an art style for me is also just, like, kind of what's comfortable. You could argue that my art style is just like uncolored like crap, but that's literally only because I'm maximizing my time spent drawing by drawing more things overall instead of drawing less things and then coloring them. So sometimes an art style can genuinely be situational. And then to be happy with my art style. So happy with my art to me is like, am I proud to have made this? Like, do I feel accomplished? Am I happy? One, with the outcome, and two, with like the actual process. Because like if I had like a horrible time drawing something and like I felt like crap the whole time, I'm gonna look at the finished art and I'm gonna be like, that was stupid. Like even if it turned out good, I'm gonna feel like shit. Because it was like, this is like, it was so hard to make and I felt like horrible, and like the process was like my hand hurts, my brain hurts, like there was 10,000 layers. Like if the process is not fun, then it's going to sour my experience of it. So it's very important that, again, the final product and the process is enjoyable and I'm happy with it. Like, have I accomplished something? Is it technically impressive? Did I convey an idea, a story, a relationship that I'm a fan of? Or did I just do something like that was like kind of masterful? Like, oh, that was like, those are like some sick folds, dude. Or like, oh, it's like a nice arm or like something like that. Feeling and seeing progress is very important to my happiness with my art. But again, this is kind of answering the question of art in general rather than style. So I'm going to try to be more specific. Like, to be happy with my style is to be happy with art. I do find them to be interchangeable. Am I happy with how my work speaks for myself? Am I happy with what it represents? And most importantly, was the process fun? Like, if I try to change my style and I don't have fun, I don't like the result. A good style is like comforting, fresh baked bread. It's natural. It's good. It doesn't feel like a chore. Sometimes there are some meticulous bits, but that's just the process, and like you're trusting in the process and you're having a good time. Oh, thank you, Sunny. Your art style is one of the most unique out there. I love you. Thank you. And thank you, Oreo. That's really sweet. Zombie says, do you even game, brah? Also, opinions on Just Dance. I guess I didn't write anything for this. Yeah, I game. I talked about Cookie Run like 8 different times. That's definitely... I've been playing Cookie Run since the very first game came out in like 2008, which is... It kind of dates me a little bit. Opinions on Just Dance. It made me listen to a lot of really, really mid music, so I don't like it. But it was a good workout. There's more questions. I think there's one on like YouTube specifically. 1 second. Let me go find it. Because I think I saw like a question getting asked. Oh god, where was it? Is it in here? Oh, I need to respond to those. I forgot. Teehee. Okay, here's one. Sorry, it was 4 days old. Navi said... here, let me turn this back on. Navi said, when you notice yourself getting into a loop of drawing a certain thing, how do you pivot away from it? Do you use those skills but on different subjects, or do you try to experiment with something new? I did actually see a loop of drawing a certain thing. I've talked a little bit about it before. Like, I was drawing... Like, after I finished college, my last time, and I got really into sculpture, all my drawings started becoming pinups. Like, nothing but pinups. And, like, they, like, some, like, when people say pinups, sometimes they think, like sexual. For me, it, like, when I draw pinups, it's like a puzzle, and it's like a test. And I'm like, how can I draw a really interesting pose that's, 1, somewhat anatomically correct, 2, displays anatomy, 3, pushes a pose, 4, does something interesting, and can I capture that with good volume and form, shape, etc., etc. It's kind of like being like a photographer for like a magazine, like a fashion magazine. Like that's kind of like what I like doing. I was doing way too much of that because in doing that I was having a lot of fun, which we can't have, and I was stretching that anatomy that I liked working on in sculpture. Like the equivalent of like sculpture in 2D is for me doing pinups, and that ended up, it was helpful and it was fun, but I was starting to feel burnt out, or maybe not burnt out. I guess I was just getting tired of it. I was getting like sick of it. I was like, can I do something else? Like I feel like I'm like not like I feel like I'm missing out on experiences that I could be drawing. As for the solution, it was hard because I really liked doing pinups, and I straight up did them for like 8 months. I had a like a brain drain of like ideas to draw. So like I got my partner to like give me a bunch of ideas, and like we talked more about OCs, or like I don't know, like I still don't feel like I've solved this problem, which is why I'm having a hard time answering it. Using those skills on different subjects certainly helps. Experimenting with something new also helps. I'm just kind of stubborn. And to be honest, I still feel like I'm doing way too many pinups, but yeah, I'm sorry, I actually don't really have an answer to this question because I'm answering it right now, and it hasn't been very easy. I don't know why. I guess I just like drawing pinups too much, I don't know. Anyway, that is all the questions. So if anybody has any like live Q&A, I can do some of those if anyone's interested. Otherwise, I will probably sign off. So I'll vibe here for a few minutes. It's like 3 p.m. so I've been live for like an hour and a half. I feel like my recorded version was definitely less long, but I'm glad that I did it live, just because it will actually exist now, because I have the recording and I never edited it because it was too overwhelming, and I straight up don't have time. Like I work 40 hours a week. Kind of cringe on me, to be honest. Let me see if I can get, one sec. I'm gonna, just to make my point, I'm gonna grab an example of like the pinups I was doing, actually. And then if there's no questions, then I'll end stream. In the meantime, though, thank you everyone who showed up, and I really appreciate that. Come join us. Sorry, I got added. I want to see. Yo. Cool. Okay, let's grab that thing that I just talked about. I'm pretty sure Bingo was like moving way too fucking much this whole stream. But whatever. Yeah, literally this whole... Let's just grab this month, actually. This whole month is like literally nothing but pinups, so... And then let me grab this year. Those are also kind of pin-up-y. Maybe. Okay, I have to remove that because it's not safe. Okay, I can show these. Or says I have no questions, but it was fun just to answer other questions. Yay, thank you. Okay, let's look at these then, real quick, just to kind of show you what I'm talking about when I talk about like pinups. Okay. Here's a power that I drew. This is, by the way, that round brush that I was talking about. I still really like this drawing, actually. This is one of my favorite drawings that I ever did. This is what I mean by, like, pen-ups and, like, puzzles. Like, this is a very contorted pose. Like, this is, like, difficult to kind of come up with, I think, anyway. Like, planning out, like, the limbs and the shape and how the anatomy works, etc. Like, that's just, like, fun for me to figure out. Like, it's like I'm doing a test every day. It's like I'm doing calculus for fun. And, like, yeah, the entire month is, like, nothing but pin-ups. That was an OC. It's Morgan. It's an OC. Like, I consider these kind of, like, pin-up-y. Like, that's a sculpture. Pin-up. Like, it's nothing but, like, I like drawing women a lot. Actually, this is one of my favorite things I did all last year. It's literally nothing but, like, just, like, women, like, in, like, interesting poses and, like, fun anatomy. Like, that's what's fun for me. And that's a lot of what I was doing. That was a warm-up sheet. That was a birthday image for an OC. Like, it's like all that. And then this is from May this year. So that one was November from last year. This is now May this year. I'm trying to make an effort to not do as many pinups. This I, like, wouldn't call it pinup. It's like, it's just like a painting, I guess. This is a pinup for sure. It was also kind of a study. It was a redraw, to be honest. Not pinups. Yay! These are chibis. I like drawing little chibis. They were fun. Not pinup. It's some slightly interactive character funny work. Haha. Not pinups. These are character designs. The chibis. Again, more like kind of funnies. This is a horrible drawing, but it's like a scene idea. Bad drawing, again, scene idea. Like concepts. Oh, I put these two side by side because I fixed them and I want to see the difference. I made her neck longer. This is a funny. This is a funny. This is a funny. These are character designs. Second version that's old, outdated. This is Miku in Lethal Company. This is the best thing. Me and my boyfriend are obsessed with this drawing. We keep sending it to each other. It's so good. This is story art. And it makes my heart hurt of OCs. This is story art of, like, another universe. I made, like, multiple of these versions because I was, like, trying to get it right. You can actually see the 3D model at the top. This was my first attempt, second attempt, and then I redrew it on another one. This is a funny. Oh, here's a redraw. That was way better. It just helped, like, the gesture a lot more, and, like, the slam on the desk and shit. It was a really cool scene that I wanted to plan out. Pinups, but they were for fun. This is a scene idea. Character design, not pinups, I swear. Character design. This is a pinup. I just redrew this for fun, and, like, that's it for me. So, like, I am kind of getting out of it. Like, I'm getting more into OC stuff. I'm getting more into, like, studies or, like redraws if it's gonna be a pinup, like, stuff like that, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know how I did it. I just became weird and crazy about OCs and being sad. Two people. And they're gonna make out later. Alright. Thank you, Julia, for enjoying the impromptu sketchbook tour. I do actually need to go over the May and March. No, April and I need to do the April and May art summary. I just haven't had the time. But anyway. Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. One day maybe I will, like, do a sketchbook tour or something. I don't know. I'll have, like, older drawings. Or, like, maybe, like, a best of. I don't know. I draw a lot. I'm messed up in the head. I really appreciate everyone who hung out and listened to me answer questions that other people asked from a month ago. It was really cool. And I'm glad that I got it out there. I'm glad that I can just kind of point to this video and be like, hey, here's a giant Q&A. I'm going to timestamp everything that I can. It will take a little bit of time. I will go through it maybe tomorrow night. For now, I'm going to vibe and chill out for the rest of my day. I'm going to draw a lot, I think. I want to draw a shit ton. and I want to sculpt, and I might play a video game. So thank you everybody for hanging out. I hope everybody has a good rest of your day, night, evening, etc. And I'll see you later. Also, I talked about it on my Instagram for a second, but I sliced my finger open at work, and it's pretty much healed now. So I think I can start typing scripts again. So that's fun. Okay, bye.